Hi guys, welcome to another video with me, Mike, at DP Mechanics. Or we'll just start calling it DPM for short. I think that works easier. So today we're working on my favourite project, my personal E53 X5. So what are we going to do today? Well, hopefully we're going to be putting the valley pan on, the valley pan gasket. We're also going to be taking off the lower timing chain cover. So we're going to be taking this off again, because as you know from my last video, I didn't tighten the bolt up on one of the timing chain guides. Newbie mistake. And we're going to be resealing this, so this is going to be in its final home. We're also going to be putting the cams in here, and we're hopefully going to get this timed up. And once this is up, this is on and sealed, this is on, then we're in the position then that we can start putting all the ancillaries on and hopefully getting the engine rebuilt. So what we're going to be doing is putting this on a time-lapse video so that you can see all this happening. I'm going to do time-lapse of us pulling the lower timing cover off, and then we'll do a quick update on how we get on, and hopefully we'll see exactly as well where the seal went. I did notice there was a few comments on the last video on part 2 saying that using head gasket seal replacing the metal seals is wrong, but actually we'll see now just how well that's actually sealed. And to be quite truthful, the metal gaskets the BMW use are not brilliant, no matter which engine or which car you buy. So let's have a look and let's get on with it. So before we do get on, there's a few little tips about doing jobs like this. Number one, we're going to do a tool review on one of these. This has been a lifesaver in this project. This is a Sealy, I forgot what it's called now. It's a Sealy CP12012 battery driven ratchet. Now, it's a very cool bit of kit. It's very similar to the Milwaukee ratchet, which is an absolute beast. That does just slightly less torque, but in telling you the truth, I've not noticed anything that struggled to undo. And it's not meant for undoing like really tight nuts. You can use it as a manual ratchet. So once you've got your socket on, it's a 3/8 drive. You can use it like a normal ratchet, but also to speed the job up. Number one, get one of these. And number two, just to make sure that you don't get all the bolts back in the wrong place, pull it the right way up, chain cover map of where all the bolts go. So if any of the bolts are different lengths, you know exactly which hole they've come from, you know exactly which hole they'll go back into. It makes your job an awful lot easier, and it means you don't make a mistake, which is really easy in this job. Like not tightening the nut up and having to do all your work again. Humans, eh? We do make mistakes. Anyway, on with the job and the time lapse. So the good news is, we've managed to take all the bolts out and get ready. The bad news actually is, it seems as though the silicon's actually held a lot better than I imagined. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this, I'm just going to try and work it because I've got to be a bit careful on how I do this. I'll put it on time lapse again, just so that you understand. I just wanted to stop so you understood. So as you can see, as I mentioned, all the bolts are in the cardboard in the correct position. We've essentially just got to get this started, and then once we kind of get a weakness in it and start doing it, but I've got to be careful. I don't want to damage the new seals I put on the new rubber gaskets here, because in essence, if I back them up, then we have to wait about 2 weeks to get some more. So let's see how we get on. So really surprisingly, even though I rushed the job and I shouldn't have done it, and the weather was bad, I wasn't feeling up for it, and even though I rushed it, strangely enough, all the seal at the bottom down here. Now you can't see this, but right at the bottom around here, in fact, let me tell you what I'm going to do. So I've taken you off the stand, my little tripod now that I have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show you the problem. Oh, well, actually not the problem, what I actually did, it worked quite well. So the silicone actually got into all the appropriate places. Now there seems to be like little gaps here, but all the silicone seemed to have sealed correctly, and the silicone's right back underneath here. So I don't know if I can show you, but right under the head here you'll see the bits of silicone. Now when I actually looked at the head, I was like, at the cover, see, so this bit's actually inside the engine bay, but you can see that it's actually held surprisingly well. And when we come around to the front, you'll see that the silicone was all in the right place. Now that little bit of oil is because I've done the separation, but on the other head as well, all the silicone is around, apart from this bit here, but I know I need to change that. So overall, let's put you back onto the stand. So overall, I'm really chuffed with that, and to be quite frank, there's nothing come out. So obviously the proof of the pudding's in the eating, so now the thing we have to do is the thing that we actually turned down for, which was, I mean, this has got a bit of free play in it, but I just want to double check all those nuts on here, and then we should be ready to put the engine together. So I'm just going to clean all the silicone off the surfaces off camera, and then I'll start the time lapse again and we'll crack on. Right, so surfaces are clean, so let's unhook you from here. So all the surfaces have now been cleaned and degreased, front, left, back and all around. I've done a bit of cleaning up as well, so that I got rid of all the bits of tat on the floor that have fell off. Also in the engine bay, all this has been cleaned here. Just trying to make sure you can see my hand, there we go. So all this has been cleaned and degreased, all this has been cleaned and degreased. These have been torqued up to spec. This has been cleaned off again, and we've just gone round and wiped all the bottom of the oil pan, upper oil pan out. So I am now completely confident that everything in there is tight. So what's the next bit of the plan? So if you've been following this video, the idea of what I'm doing is, instead of using the BMW gaskets, that are originally an extension of the head gasket and the bottom upper pan sump, I'm going to be replacing it with, let's get this right, silicone rubber gasket. Now, I don't advise you to do this at home. This is not something that I would highly recommend to do, but the gaskets that are on the Beamers always leak anyway. This is going to do, it's a very low use engine, it doesn't get the high mileage usage, so this is a bit of an experiment. In 50,000 miles it's going to be pulled out and rebuilt anyway, probably gearbox as well. So this is ideally just to see if for now, you never know, it might work perfectly well, it might completely fail and cast eyes and destroy absolutely everything the minute I put something on it. So there's only one way of finding out, unfortunately, and that is, let's bolt it together. So I suppose we better crack on. Why, the weather of the gods is with us today, so let's get on with it. So, you would have seen a time-lapse video that was suddenly cut short, and now we're back. Well, in essence, everything went quite well actually. So we did have to take the timing cover off again, but we double-checked all where all the silicone was going, all the sealant was going, and it turns out it actually bonded really well. So all the bolts are in, so I'm sorry that we had to cut it kind of short, but all the bolts are in, and we've got them all down roughly to where we think they need to be torque wise. We're just going to torque them up, So we'll do that live while we're here. So the torque setting is 22 Newton meters. There we go. Back there, the last bolt which is underneath, which we can't see, but it is here. There we go. And what we'll do as well, we'll put these last thing we want to do right now is drop down the engine, because otherwise we'd have to take it all off again. Right, so as you know, we have done the tension checking on the nuts below. Hang on. Am I using? Yeah, I'm using it right there, just checking. Right, there we go. So that's the lower timing cover on. So I'm quite happy about that. And before you ask, how do I know it's sealed? Number one, obviously what you can't see is right down here underneath, which at the bottom of the upper oil pan, there are 6 bolts that actually hold in 10mm bolts. They're not 10 mils, they're like M6s that just hold the lower oil panel. That's a prone leaking point for these cars. That is definitely sealed, because you can see around the sides, you can see that it's all come out. You know there's a tight gap. You can see I've tightened those up as well to torque. I've only put 3 in for now, just to pull it up. I know the back was fine. You can also see through the head and actually see the gasket coming through, so I know that it's sealed from the back. And I can't actually show you because it's quite difficult to see, but you can actually see the gasket joint. Yeah, you can actually see the gasket coming out the joint. So am I confident that that is sealed? Yes, it is what it is. I mean, once the oil pressure builds up, it can throw all kinds of problems. The head gasket's not been touched, so when we first fire up the engine, all that we're basically going to see, and all that we're basically going to see is an oil leak. I personally don't think we will. I think once this stuff's set, I don't think it's going to get through, in all honesty. But you know, this is an experiment, really. As you know, when we started the project, we didn't have the engine lift, we didn't have some of the tools, so you know, they came later on as we discovered some of this. If this holds, it's got to hold for 50,000 miles, and we'll do repeated checks on this weekly once we're up and running, to make sure that, you know, A, we're not going to see any issues, and B, you know, we don't have anything weird turn up. But overall, I'm quite happy with that. I know it was a bit of a mess and a bit frantic, and you've not, let me just get you off. So, you know, you haven't seen part of the cleanup operation, so I've cleaned some of the excess from around here. You can see here, especially where the gaskets come through, and there's some down there, you know, it's very well sealed. You can see inside, if I hold you here, you can actually see inside the gasket on the inside, and that's repeated on all gasket surfaces. This is using the factory gasket along with the sides down here. That's the bottom seal. That's just a bit of excess I've left out because it's nice and tight to the engine, but you know, that's where we're up to. Now, as I said, I didn't show you some of the bits after, because if you watch on the time lapse, and I'll leave it in to show you that not everything goes right all the time. I put it on and I wasn't sure that the gasket on bank 1 to 4 on the lower part had sat properly, so I pulled it off, realised that it had, but luckily I did, because I saw some flat spots in the silicon. So what in the what's it called? It's the approved gasket sealer that BMW recommends on the guide. For doing when you're doing a head gasket replacement, so you know when you get overlapping melting surfaces. So I mean, it is guaranteed for 2 mil per surface, or 4 mil gap in total, which is huge in engine terms. It's rated to 300 degrees as well, so there's no, if that gets to 300 degrees, you got bigger problems than just a gasket seal. So, you know, as we didn't discover most of the problems with this till we got the front timing chains off and discovered the correct timing chain guide. The gears are fine, the chain's fine, the rest of them are fine, they've all been checked. You know, we've got one that we've kind of repaired using the gasket sealer, but you know, it wasn't broken. It's just, I'm just putting a little bit of insurance on it. Only time will tell, really. So I think, you know, like I said, I wouldn't advise doing this home if you're not confident doing it. You know, you need to take the cylinder heads off, and that's why I said, you know, this is an experiment just to see, you know, if this is a short, you know, way of making this happen quicker. If not, it's going to be an engine pull. Well, like I said, in 50,000 miles, the engine's coming out regardless, because it's going to go for a full rebuild, and we're going to get it degreased and everything properly. So, yeah, that's where we're at. The lower timing chain case cover case is on, so that means now we can crack on with putting the valley pan on. Might have a cup of tea after that as well. So back to time lapse. So before we get going with finishing the next section, what we're going to do is just show you what we're going to do now. So we're going to hoover this out here, get rid of all these bits of stuff. All this surface just needs cleaning down. I might just do this off camera just so that we don't, you know, don't want to be boring. Clean this all down, get this surface ready, which, I mean, in all realisticness, shouldn't take too long. It looks like someone's tried silicone here before, but done a terrible job, really. We'll do this, clean all this down, hoover this out, put the valley pan on and get it screwed and done down. And then really we're into cams on either side and getting it ready and getting it timed up. And well, we also need to put the Jesus bolt on as well, which is going to be fun. Here are the parts we're going to use. We've got proper Febby, valley pan cover. As you can see, there's the coolant pipe section. We'll get all this put back together and we'll go from there. So, by the time, let's begin. So as you would have seen then, we have got the valley pan gasket on. So all nice and torqued down to correct spec. I was a bit worried that some of the heads were going to strip because it's aluminium, so I'm not going to go, it says 10 Newton meters, but I think sometimes with the edge of the engine as well, I don't want to risk it, so I've done it to the German universal tightness of Guttentight. So some clicked at 10 and I've kind of replicated that on others. I might just give it a gentle tweak off camera just to see if we can hit the magic click on the torque spanner. So torque wrench, sorry for all those purists out there. So now what we're going to be working on is, so what we're going to be working on now is going to be getting the cams in here. So we're going to get the cams bedded in, get all this cleaned out first of all and wiped down. Well, in fact, what we might do first is drop the socket on here, the timing chain cam, and make sure that's all nice and on, and can't time it up until we put the big nut on. So what I'm going to have to do is probably put the lower vibration pulley on, tighten up the Jesus bolt, and which is 100 Newton meters. Well, I think it's on like 875 Newton meters, then 260 on 90-degree turns. We'll find out when we do the get the kit out. Once that's on and we can get the vibration pulley on, then we're pretty much good to go for TDC timer. Then what I might just do is drop the cams in and drop the cogs on, not time it, leave these undone so that this has got freedom of movement. And then in essence the engine's starting to go back together. Yeah, and then it's just going to be the big cleanup process and rebuild, and then the next big challenge is going to be the alternator bracket. But you know, we can film that as we go on. Then we can, what my intention is that we then go and clean through all this and get this nice and clean, so that the engine's not perfect. It is it's a 14-year-old engine, but at least we will be able to turn around and say that we've cleaned everything where we suspected there was an oil leak. We can allow once we do this, then at least we can allow oil to drip down. We can clean it properly, and then pretty much go from there. But apart from that, it is tea. It's tea and crack on. Yeah, so yeah, back to it. So here's the bit I've been dreading. We're doing the Jesus bolt. Now, if you do not know what the Jesus bolt is, it is this bolt here that basically holds like the plate that drives the vibration dampener from the crank on. And why would you say am I worried about a Jesus bolt? Well, basically the tightening torque is 100 Newton meters, then 260-degree turns. That's a lot. So we do, as you'll probably remember from previous videos, we have our timing kit in the blue box just there. This came with the actual nut itself is actually quite simple. It's a 27mm socket, something like an M12. This is the socket that came with the set, which is fantastic. You can actually put a little guide on that guides you to where 60 Newton meters is, and then you just turn and crank. One problem is the company that makes it has put a non-fitting, non-standard screw in. It's neither 1/2 inch nor inch. It's like 3/4, but not even 3/4. It's like 1/8 or something. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just a size that doesn't look standard. So what I did was, we've got our torque range set up to precisely 100 Newton meters, just to check. 100 Newton meters. We're going to be using this. And then what I did was I found the biggest wrecking bar I could, which has got an inch drive on it. I'm basically going to whack on a 27mm socket, mark it at 0, turn it to 60. Hardly rocket science, but just to show you, the length of the bar is 40 inches. That is a weighty bit of kit. So this is the bit I'm dreading the most. If that snaps, engine's done, full stop. The valley pan went on, I just double checked all the tightenings, it was fine. All the other nuts are fine. This is the big one that can then start to get us into progressing the engine back. I also put the other couple of bolts underneath in the upper oil pan. So this is the start of going back together. So I'm going to switch over to time lapse while we do it, and I'm not actually going to put it on time lapse, I'm just going to put it on record so you can see the action live. All right, so let's see how this goes. Let's do the 100 Newton meters twist soon. So this has been bolted on. I've used 4 of the bolts that connect the vibration dampener on, so they're on and done. And tightened up, so literally next to no movement. That's going to allow us the pressure we can to turn this. So basically Let's get a crank in. Now remember, first part, 100 Newton meters. So, let's get a just for good measure, 100 Newton meters. Now we put our little guide on. So there is really no error in this on where it can go. It's more just around making sure we get the mark right. So aha, see, snag. That is why you need the thin head to get in between the bolts. Okay. Yes. So it seems to be that the head of the 1-inch nut won't go through or on. So, change of plan. We'll switch over to the small wrecking bar and go from there. So, now what's cool about this is the fitting fits. So, jolly good on that front. So, what does that mean now? We have to get a big pole. I think that's big enough. That's a bit better. We need to go to the right and $160. Oh, we have to do 2 of these, by the way. Oh, gee. Two 60-degree turns on top of 100 Newton meters. Wow, that's tough. So now that we've got that on, we can, oh, my poor little wrecking bar, I think it's got a curve to it now. So now that we've done that, this can all now come apart because Now that we've got that on, we're now into vibration dampener. We can start putting coolant pipes back in, etc. But yeah, I think ultimately now that we've got the valley pan on, now that we've got the Jesus bolt on, we've got these in. The next big thing is going for the alternator, so that we can get the alternator bracket on, and the power steering lines and power steering line over there, and get the AC pump back on and connected, get that bolted back up, and get the nut behind the horrendous nut tightened up. Then we can put the alternator bracket on, alternator, water pump, we'll put the vibration dampener on, and then we can start moving back up top. So we can clean all this. We'll then put the clean behind here to make sure no junk goes in the engine base inside the inlet valves, and basically drop all these on. But now we've got that on, we can turn the crank and time the engine, which is what we wanted. But I think I might just put the vibration dampener on, and then when we crank the engine, which I don't think that's going to come off or anything man's going to happen to it, but you know, it's the last thing we want now to happen. So we're going to crank this, put these on. Once these are back on, and we'll get the cogs on, it's all ready to be timed up, and then in essence, engine rebuild time. Yeah, engine rebuild time. So we'll wrap it up for the day. Let's adjust that. So I'll wrap it up for the day. We've actually progressed a bit further. I get a little bit impatient, and I was kind of in a flow. So let's have a little look. So what we're looking at is both camshafts are back in, timing covers on. This camshaft's been timed up now. Well, the whole timing for the engine's now done. We got the water pump on, the vibration damper. You saw earlier we did the Jesus bolt, and we got that back on and all up to torque. All this is up to torque now. This is up to torque. We put that pipe in. Obviously we cleaned all that out. This has all been cleaned as well. I didn't bother showing the timing because, as you know, I've got a link in the video on part 1 for a guy called Ecological time that does it on a 745i. Overall, really happy. All this is torqued, it's all gone back in. I've done a couple of revolutions of the engine. There's no noises, nothing out of the ordinary, shall we say. Yeah, this went on. I only realised afterwards, putting the water pump on, that I had to take the vibration damper off to tighten up, so I had to take this off, put it back on and do it again. Tomorrow's job, which you can't see, but we're going to put the air compressor back on, put back on the power steering lines, do the alternator bracket down here, put the alternator on, put the alternator back on. We'll put the front diff back in, put the drive shaft back in, put the alternator back on, and then what we're going to do is put the upper timing chain covers on, and then we'll put the intake planning back on, put the injectors back in. I might actually put the timing covers on first, and then we'll put the injector planning back on last, with the injectors. And then once all this is done, put all the belts back on, put the cooling, put the radiator system, put all the ancillary bits back on, fire up the engine. That's not going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow I'd be quite happy if we can get the aircon compressor back on, the alternator on, the front diff back on, the front drive shaft back on, the power steering lines reconnected back up, and that really should be it. If we can do that tomorrow and just get it to a point where it just needs the the rocker covers on, get the covers back on, we'll be ready for a test fire. So I know it's been a bit of a long video today. This has been probably the most the big video that's took us further along on the project. I am glad that we got the lower timing case on. That was becoming a shall we say, it was becoming a bit of a bugbear, and I was getting impatient with the weather. And you know, we took our time today. You know, I think it's about 5:30 in the afternoon now. We've been doing this since early morning, and yeah, we should be good soon. And then we can move on to cosmetic pieces like buffing the headlights and generally just doing a bit of a spruce caboose on the engine and getting it clean. Get a little brush, and just not perfect. It's not good. Don't get me wrong. This isn't a show car. This is just a car that's gonna. It's a family car. It's a work car. It's meant to be used. It's not showroom condition. It never will be unless it goes for a full restoration, full engine rebuild, everything. And I mean proper clean, scrubbed down. You know, eventually look like a new block. But we're gonna end the episode there. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit me up on Facebook at facebook.com/DP_mechanics. We've also got a Twitter account and an Instagram account. Just look for DP_mechanics. It's all pretty much the same. There will be a tour review going up this weekend. Oh, and don't forget we'll have Mike's Mechanic Mike's Mondays tips on Monday as well. So drop a like, drop a follow, drop us if you want to subscribe, and follow me on this little journey of phase 1 of getting this project done. Thanks for watching. See you on part 3. Part 4, actually, not part 3. Correct that. Part 4. See ya.